Hello. My name is Kim Ades, and I am the president and founder of Frame of Mind Coaching. You have just joined us at the Frame of Mind Coaching podcast, where we interview willing guests who are open to being coached live and in person on the podcast. Today, I can't tell you how excited I am to have an old friend on the podcast with me. His name is John Reinhardt, and we used to hang out, 16, 17 years ago when I was intimately involved in the real estate industry. John, welcome.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here, and thank you for inviting me on this podcast.
I'm so excited to see you. I don't know, when I see you, I just smile. So thank you for being here.
Likewise.
So we reached out to you and you said, yes, I have a challenge that I want some help with and I'm willing to share. So let's just jump in. Well, before we jump in, let's give everybody a tiny bit of history. When you and I met, you were running a company called Fillmore Real Estate, and now you're with a company called EXP Realty. EXP
Right.
Realty.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a tiny bit about that transition, and then we'll talk about the challenge.
Okay. So yeah, that's a interesting story. I'll give you the short version of it. I've been running Fillmore Real Estate for about 40 years as a broker owner. I've had a few hundred agents and about 12 locations in the Brooklyn, New York marketplace. And I loved it. I loved running the company. I loved the technology. I loved bringing some great ideas to a whole bunch of agents and changing their lives. And then the times have changed. And when the folks passed away, then the other two siblings of mine got involved in the business as well. They're both lawyers, and they both got involved in the business as well. And it became a little bit less of what I thought my day-to-day would be like, and it became more of a committee and questioning everything, and it was a totally different experience for me. And I'm the type of guy who's an entrepreneur, who likes to try new ideas, whether they're proven or not. Just try things, track them, make sure that they work, tweak them, and that's how I like to roll. So getting involved with this. The family, it became more of a burden, and I wasn't having fun anymore. So I decided that I would shift over to move towards a new space of a virtual real estate company, because I was always a tech guy. I love technology, loved to see how it can help people and apply it in their day-to-day lives. And I thought that that this was a great opportunity, because this is where the real estate, in my opinion, is going. It's going more virtual instead of spending all the money on offices and everything. And I was hoping that maybe my old company would change to this model. They weren't interested, and I suggested that if you're not interested, I'm a believer in it, and I'm going to do it anyway in January. And then January comes along, and I said, I'm going to go and take advantage of that new opportunity. I want to try it. I think it's the way of the future, and I'm going to do it. They said, well, you can't, because you're running this company. It's a family business. And so that started the, I'm going to call it a discussion, but in Brooklyn, nothing's a discussion. Forget about it. So it was a little more than a discussion, but I was convinced that I wanted to do something different in my life. I just turned 60 years old, and it was just time for change and time to semi-retire. I thought, not having to deal with as many agents on a day-to-day basis, and then combining the ability to work from home and the ability to attract agents all around the country, because I do have friends all around the country and all around the globe that I can attract to this new model. So I thought it was a great opportunity for me. So I did it, but the family wasn't so delighted with that choice.
Okay, so you made this transition this year, January?
Yeah.
Okay, and
January,
how's it going? I mean, COVID hit. Good
Yeah.
Move, smart move.
It was a really, really interesting timing. I did it January 29th was my first event, and I attracted a bunch of agents to my team. It went real well. We had such great events, and we had webinars, people fly in from Texas to teach classes, people fly in from Pennsylvania, and just all over, just to teach the agents the new way of selling real estate. So that worked real well. And then so I attracted a nice little team in the beginning of a dozen agents or so. And then COVID hit, and it was really great because I went onto YouTube and started my own YouTube channel and started advising agents how to work remotely. Now I've only been doing it from January until February, then it hit. So I'm only doing it a month, but it was a month head start and a month of confidence level that I had, that I knew how to do it virtually. And I didn't need to get a listing paper from the office, and I didn't need any forms or anything. I did everything remotely and virtually. And I started teaching people that. And so, yeah, it was a great time for me to do it. And now there's no looking back. It's just the only way to go is, in my opinion, is this way. It's been working real well for me. And that's it.
Okay. Well, in a way, it was a it was a decision you made with some level of premonition, which you've always had,
Right.
if I remember correctly.
I do, for some reason. I do have that kind of a crazy knack, the ability
Yeah,
to see
a
things
little bit
before
of
they come.
premonition. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to a couple of things. So first of all, congratulations for your move. We wish you the best of luck in this endeavor. And knowing you, I have no worries whatsoever.
Thank
But
you.
let's go back to the whole family thing. So how long did you feel like, it sounds like after your parents passed away that you started to feel a little bit less free to make decisions in your company?
Yes, and there was a conflict. Every time I did something new, whatever it was, I introduced new technology. There was a divide because there was more than one leader of the company, and if they didn't like eating the broccoli, whatever it was, it might have been painful, but it was, in my opinion, their best interest. Then they would go back to the other sibling and tell them, this is no good. And then instead of the support, what I was getting is, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know why he's doing that. And it was undermining everything that I was trying to put out there. So there were numerous examples of behavior like that kind of like, took the wind out of my sails. It didn't fly right with me, but I was doing it. I was keeping the family business going and putting up with it and, dealing with it for a couple of years.
How long were you running the business essentially on your own? Because when I met you, you were leading the company. There was nothing holding you back.
Right. I became the president of the company around 2000. And then Dad passed away in 2005. So then it was basically, I became the CEO at that time. And so, it's been a while. So in 2015, the next 10 years, solo. And then Mom passed in 2015. And then the other family members joined on board.
Okay. So when you were frustrated with their involvement, how would you express it? Would you flip out? Would you fight? Would you get quiet? Would you withdraw? What was your reaction in that moment to when you were making a decision and then they were like literally pulling the rug out from under your decisions?
It accumulated over time. I tried to listen to their point of view and understand what they were doing. But I also felt like, I'm doing this for 35 years at that stage of the game, that I kind of had the expertise in the real estate industry. And for them to come in and think that they knew what was happening when they really didn't have the resources and the breadth of experience that I had was frustrating, and then, they would decide, no, that's not good. And then I got frustrated. So there was some arguments, there was some discussions, and what was worse was that if I did something anyway, because I believed in it, then there would be the, I don't know why he did that. I don't know why that happened. Doesn't make any sense to me. And then it undermined it, and then it failed. And then it says, we told you so. So it's kind of like, it's like it's not good. So I was doing a lot of the work and for a salary, and the love and passion of it just left.
Okay. So what I'm really looking for is like, how did you communicate your frustration? What did you say? What did you do? Was there a meeting where, you were yelling and screaming? Was there a meeting where you said, hey, this isn't working? Like, how did you literally get your message across that said, I'm tired, I'm frustrated, this isn't fun for me anymore? And perhaps those are two questions. One is, how did you deal with it in the moment when they're kind of resisting and undermining your decisions? And then how did you deal with it when you came to the point where you were ready to leave?
So it was a little bit of scratching away, taking away my desire to even fight them, because it was a battle that didn't end in the right way most of the times, because both of my brothers are lawyers, so they kind of kind of had a certain belief in everything. So I was fighting against the rest of the world. It's like someone in the United States trying to convince you that your political candidate is the wrong one. And it's an endless battle. So I really felt like my hands were tied, and that the fighting and the frustration wasn't worth it. So I just kept running the company, doing my thing, going with whatever was happening. Doing whatever I could, but I still felt like the rug was pulled out from under me many times.
So it was like you were a bit of a lame horse.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Exactly
Okay.
what it was.
Okay. And your brothers, are they older or younger than you?
Well, I have one older and one younger.
Okay. Older and younger. And what was it like when you were young together? What was your relationship like? They went to be lawyers, you went to real estate. I mean, how?
Yeah, I was going to be a lawyer too. So I was going to St. John's Law School. I passed the law board exams, and my dad said one day, he was sitting at the dinner table and said, "You know what? Bill's going to be a lawyer. Mike's going to be a lawyer. Who's going to take over the real estate business?" And so I said, "Okay, I'll take over the real estate business, and that'll do it," because I was enjoying it. I was selling a couple of houses that first summer as a part-time gig, and I said, "Yeah, that sounds like a great opportunity for me." And so that was it. So really that was fine. I think that the relationship as growing up and into that age was all good. It's still good. And if I go to a family event, we're all talking and having a drink together and socializing, which is kind of weird. And then when it comes to outside of that, it just seems to be not what it used to be, for sure. But
What was it before? How did it used to be?
we were all on the same page. We were all we all supported each other. We all did things together. Now there's like a wall up. There's a friction.
Is it a COVID wall, or is it a
No.
wall as a result of your
No,
departure?
and it's like one of my siblings more than the other one. The other one's fine, calls me and says hello, but the other one doesn't. The other one's kind of like doesn't at all. Like, with my broken foot, like my half the family calls me. His wife will call me, but he doesn't call me. And then another friend gets a stubbed toe, and he's writing on Facebook, "I hope your toe gets better." And it's like and just like, it's hurtful. It's a hurtful thing. So
And
that
is
type
this
of
the older brother or the younger brother?
younger brother.
Okay.
So that's all. It just is hurtful that for someone to do that, and
And
I don't
how's
see the need
Fillmore
for it.
doing right now?
How is Fillmore doing right now? It's with the COVID situation. I think there's the challenges and everything.
Yeah.
There was still a group of agents there. Not as many, but there was a core group of agents that will always produce. And then there's a lot of them that left and went their own way.
Okay. And did you take any of them?
No, I didn't. I mean, after they left Fillmore, that was my pledge to myself and my family, is to not recruit from them. If I did, it would be a different story. But I did not. I have not attracted one agent that was with Fillmore over to the team. If they left Fillmore and went on their own and they went somewhere else, then I get them, and I usually get them most of the time because it's a great opportunity. But that was a wall that I put up. I don't know if I should keep it up, but it was because I still am an owner in the Fillmore company.
Well, it's a question of integrity, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I have
Okay.
never gone after them, that's how I feel in my heart. I always did the right thing for my family,
Yeah.
and I do believe that my record will stand clear. That has been how I've always run it over the last 40 years.
Okay, so let's just go back because I just want to play out one more thing and then let's jump in, okay? When you told them I'm leaving, how did that conversation go? Did you bring them in, or did you just say, "Ciao, I told you already I was leaving, and here it is, I'm taking action"?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that happened. Some of them, it was a managers meeting where I kind of feel like I was kind of set up. Um, and there were some things that I did that probably I would have done differently looking back in retrospect. I had a luncheon meeting to explore the new model, and I invited one or two of our Fillmore agents that were saying that they were leaving the company anyway. They said, we're leaving the company. I said, but before you leave and go somewhere else, why don't you come check out this model for me? Maybe we could bring it back to Fillmore. I think it'd be a great solution for Fillmore. Well, they came there, and then one of them that was, involved. But just the story didn't come out that way, and they felt like I was doing something behind the scenes, and that was the thing I think that bothered them more than anything else over the years. And I do see their point. I think that my goal and my intention was really to see if it was a good fit for Fillmore, because I really thought it was. Still think it is, but it just didn't play out like that. So my goal was to, hey, let's have a trial meeting. I had a regional person from the EXP coming down, so let's have a trial meeting around the block from my house, and we'll have a half a dozen people there and go through the procedure and see if this thing makes any sense. I had until January with EXP, so I was already licensed with them, but I had till January an agreement that said that, look, hey, you have until January before you have to get rid of your license at Fillmore. So my goal was, okay, by January, let's make this thing happen with Fillmore, or I can make a decision to say, I'm going to stay here at Fillmore, or I'm going to move on and do something else.
So was there an opportunity to bring EXP into Fillmore as in terms of a different brand, or underneath the
Sure.
Fillmore logo, like branding? How would that?
Sure, it's the Fillmore team at EXP. That's no problem. Many companies around the country have done it, but they weren't open to it. They just weren't open to it. If Johnny did it, it's not good.
Okay.
It's that
And
wasn't
then
even an open opportunity.
got it. And when January came along and you were ready to leave again, did you say, "Hey, I'm leaving," or did you just go?
Well, I think a week before I said I have to make the decision. It's January. I have to either get rid of this license or come back here. And we had meetings. I said, what is the plan? What is the business plan for this company? How are we going to do this going forward? What are our and there was no plan. So I said, I don't like where I'm at. I don't like the position I'm in. I don't like that there's there's an anti-movement with everything that I do. And I don't feel like this is where I want to be when I'm 60 years old. So I did say that, and I've had a meeting, and you can't do this, you can't do that. And I said, this is what I have to do. I had a conversation with my wife. My wife gave me, the full authority. Said, hey, look, do what you got to do. You're miserable here because you go home and you're up at night because you did something, and then it's all criticized, and you do it with your heart and your soul, and it's just torn down and then fought against, and then. There was one meeting that I had that they had all the managers in my brother's office before a meeting, and they all teamed up against me when I was downstairs, and I felt like it was horrible. I felt like it was the worst day of my 40-year career, and I went home that night and I said, I'm done, and that was it. And then I told them right after that, I said, I'm done. This is it. I felt at that time that I'm not right for them, and I don't and I also felt, to be honest with you, they don't deserve me for my effort and my heart and soul and my experience, that it's not worth it. And I dropped my salary, which was a nice salary, and I dropped it all like that and for nothing, and just started from scratch.
Okay. So your brother, which one is it, Bill or Mike? Mike. So Mike is your younger brother.
Yeah.
And what would you like to see happen with him? Like, in your ideal world, what changes?
So I think, listen, I'm a pacifist. I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover, not a fighter. And I feel bad that we can't come to terms, and there doesn't need to be an agreement. There just needs to be an understanding that, hey, understand I had to do this, understand where I was coming from, and that, I wasn't happy, and I didn't want to bring down Fillmore. That's not my goal. It's still not my goal. And I offered to help them in any way possible, deciding on new technology. Whatever they wanted to do to move forward. have always reached out and said, I'll be happy to help because I do have a lot of experience, but they kind of like, alienated me from all that stuff. So I don't want to be alienated from all that stuff. I don't mind helping them, but they can't see that I could put a line between the two.
Okay.
And
So you're looking for your brother to understand where you're coming from. Is that what you're after? Or are you really after just moving past this? You made a decision.
Right. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they don't need to be necessarily okay with it, but you really want a relationship with your brothers. Is that what you're after? Because those are two entirely different things.
I think that's fine. I think I'd like to move on. I don't need to prove anything. I just need to say, hey, I did what I did. I moved on, and let's just, put it behind us.
Okay. So what would it be like if you actually didn't say, hey, I did what I did. Let's move on. Let's put it behind us. But instead say, hey, you're my brother. I love you. I want to have a relationship with you. And do you hear the difference in that?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Because and here's the reason, okay? Because what you're doing unconsciously is still looking behind you at what you did and what happened and what went down and how he played it out and how you played it out, and right? And so you're not moving forward by keeping an eye on what happened behind you. It's impossible for you to get to a new place. So your job right now is actually to really, truly define the relationship you want with your brother. And I would suggest to you that for the moment, keep work completely out of it. You made a decision. They made a decision. Okay. Let's not try to jumble that decision up. Let's not try to have a hand in Fillmore and have a hand here. And can you help them? Can you not? Forget about that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just focus on the relationship. And so what you're looking for is a warm brotherly relationship. And so the question is, how steadfast are you in that desire, in that outcome, in like how committed are you to that?
No, I'm pretty committed to that. I think that's the way it has to be, and I do feel like it is that way sometimes when I'll sit down and just chat at his house on the stoop, whatever it is. I do feel that way, but I do also feel that that's kind of like superficial when you don't call when when you break your foot or you're that's just not it doesn't make sense.
Okay, so here's the thing is that you're looking for him to take specific actions to let you know that he's past the past.
Right.
Yes?
Right.
And what I recommend is don't worry about his actions. And instead, behave how you want the relationship to be, regardless of his initiative or lack of initiative. So you be the brother that you want to be in this relationship and be the brother that you want to have in this relationship. And in other words, be totally committed to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. I was working with a client who was estranged from his daughter. So much so that she had kids and never told him, never wanted him to see her children. And he said, you know, it really, really bothers me. What should I do? I said, be relentless. Be relentless about being in touch with her. Send her letters, emails, calls, whatever it is that you need to do to say, I am here and I'm committed to this relationship. No matter what went down in the past, because life happens, it doesn't matter. You're my brother. I love you, period. End of story. And I'm going to let you know that as often as possible. And so what I'm really trying to say is right now, your sense of satisfaction, your sense of peace is dependent on what he does and what he doesn't do. So when I break my leg and he doesn't call me, I don't feel good. That means that things still aren't good between us. Yes?
That's what I do think. Yes.
Yes. And so we're going to approach it a little bit differently, because what happens is when you think that he's still not good, what happens? You're not good. And what we're going to do is change things up so that no matter what he does, you're good with him. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
It's kind of like if you have a child and you have kids, if you have a child and the child decides that today, I hate you, Dad. You're like, okay, I don't hate you, right? Because kids go through that. Doesn't rattle you in any way. I mean, maybe a bit, but at the end of the day, like you're not going to stop loving your kid. You're not going to stop being the amazing dad that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing goes with your brother. So you're going to continue to be, let's call it an anchor in this relationship. And you're going to continue to be warm, loving, kind. You're going to continue to take the initiative to be in contact with him, to invite him over, to say, hey, I broke my leg. Right? So we're going to reverse. Rather than you waiting for him to let you know that he's okay, you're going to be okay with him. You're going to appreciate whatever he brings to the table. You're going to focus on the moments when things are really good with him and expand those in your experience. Take them a little deeper when you're in front of him, when you're with him, when you're sitting on his stoop in front of his house, when you're doing all those things. So those are wins, right? So what's rattling you right now is this thought, he should have called when I broke my leg. And that means he's not cool with me. And what I want you to do is say, I'm cool with you regardless of what you do.
I get it.
Right? What you're really doing is you're putting a stake in the ground saying, I'm your brother, period, end of story. And I'm going to love you. Doesn't matter what you think, what you do, what you say. And I'm living my life in a way that's healthy and good for me. That's it.
Okay. Get
How
it.
does that sound? How does that feel? How do you
It's
react to that?
It sounds good. It sounds like great advice. It sounds like something that's easily achievable on my end. The reaction and on that end is not predictable at this stage.
Doesn't matter. That's the
Right.
key.
Okay. Right. So it is okay. Yeah, I get it, and I get it. I think I was every time like something good happens with the new model. Like I've got a great new agent that's coming on board with his company yesterday. I posted online, and it's just like, yeah. So I think I was too concerned with people noticing or not, and it shouldn't matter at all. It shouldn't matter.
Well, the thing is that you need to just consistently love your brother and do that however you do it. Because I know you. You're a really warm, super warm, loving, kind guy.
Yeah.
Be who you are with your brother, period.
Right.
And that's it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's frustrating that I can't be who I am with him. That's what it is.
But be who you are with him. You're
Right.
waiting for him to respond to you.
Right.
Don't. Just be
Right.
who
Right.
you are. Your actions and behavior and feelings are independent of him. Right now, you're making them dependent on him. We need to separate that out.
And I think when I do see him, though, it's not like it's a bad thing, but it's just the actions that are bothering me that are stopping this. So we can see each other right now and have a glass of scotch and a couple of laughs and stuff. And but I think that it's probably my problem or issue or challenge that's getting in the way of my own mind.
And when you have that challenge, you're in front of him and you're maybe a little stilted. You're maybe not as John as you want to be, right? You're maybe not as much yourself. So you're a little awkward. He's a little awkward. And what happens? More awkward. Just relax.
Sounds great.
I hope this helped you. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight and maybe some things to think about the next time you see or talk to your brother. But also that I hope it brings you a little bit of peace to say, okay, like actually the part that's in my hands is my behavior and my thinking. And it doesn't matter how he behaves or how he thinks, but I'm going to love my brother because he's my brother.
Good. Great advice. Thank you, Kim.
John, thank you so much for being on this show with me. I'm so happy to see you. You have no idea.
Likewise.
For those of you who are listening, and I hope you took something away from this particular podcast, but if there's a challenge that you want to share on the podcast, please reach out to me. My email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. And if there's a challenge that you're having that you're not comfortable sharing on the podcast, reach out to me anyways. My email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. John, thanks again.